Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Steve Foreman. Steve is a write-in candidate for the Board of Supervisors in the Fork District. Mm-hmm. Steve, we've got a lot of people who have come out of the woodwork, so to speak, to be running as write-ins this year. You're not the only one.
No, there's a lot
of people that have kind of said, well, wait a minute, there's some issues we need to address, and we want to make sure our voice gets heard. Is that why you're running?
Yeah, among other things. And I realize I'm an underdog as a write-in, but I feel like it's worthwhile to do this. I think we live in a fantastic area. We're surrounded by mountains and forests and national parks.
Sure.
And we got a lot of infrastructure here in town. We got skate parks and golf courses, the dog parks, great libraries.
Sure.
I think this town's got a lot going for it, and I want to help move everything forward, make sure we're going in the right direction.
Right.
Make good decisions and keep us going forward. I think we've made some pretty good positive changes in the last several years after our problems.
Yeah.
I think we can keep moving forward, and I just want to be available to contribute and do what I can for the county.
Well, that's good.
Because we got a lot going for us.
We did, and people don't really sit back and, it's the old saying, sit back and count your blessings, know, and look at the things that we do have.
Yep.
Like you weren't born and raised in Warren County, and neither was I, but we've both been here quite a long time, and we could live anywhere we want. I mean,
true.
And that's one thing I tell people. That's what's great about this country. You can live anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And to choose to live here is versus it's kind of like being adopted. You know what I mean? You were chosen.
Yeah. Right.
You were chosen, and so we chose this area, and we love it, and we want to do what's best for our community. And I think people like yourself and others that have come forward to run for office, it's important. Don't just sit back and wait for someone else to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's important. So what are some of the issues that really are motivating you?
Well, I think overall, the number one thing we can do, and aside from bringing business in, I think the number one thing we can do is promote tourism in this county. I think that's our ace in the hole. I have some figures somewhere. I think I heard that we made $3 million on tax revenue in 2019. The later figures aren't in yet, but that's a considerable amount to add to the tax base.
Sure.
And it's huge, and we need to foster that, make better opportunities while trying to maintain the quality of life.
Right.
And I think if we stay in front of this instead of letting change happen to us, I think we'll be better off. I lived in Loudoun County for probably 5, 10, 6, 7 years.
Right.
And I was there right when that took off. I bought a house in a really nice older piece of town, trees around, close to golf courses and the river. And next thing I know, the trees are coming down. Everything between us and the river had been removed, and townhouses and businesses were going up.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've seen what happens when development gets out of control. So I think we need to manage that.
Well, that's what happens. The world just keeps pushing farther out.
It does. Yeah.
Instead of saying and building up, they move out.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been to places. I grew up in Arizona as a kid, and I go back and visit, and you look at the city of Phoenix. They do go back and they revitalize their downtown, but 2 blocks away is dead.
Yeah.
And then 10 blocks away it comes back up again, but there's that center part, and that's what's happening even in Front Royal and Winchester, places. They get to the downtown, but they forget about 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And then they go out, and we're developing in the county.
That's true.
What are your feelings on working with the town? I mean, town-county relations. People forget we're part of the town's part of the county.
There's kind of divide there, and I think you see with this, listening to the supervisors now, there's a real effort to try and somebody mentioned us and us.
Right.
Instead of us versus them, we need to promote an us and us mindset. And I think that's absolutely essential. You're right. We're not separate. We're all in this together. So we need to work on those relationships.
Right. I always try to remind people. I mean, if it's good for the county, it's good for the town. If it's good for the town, it's got to be good for the county, because we're all part of the same pie.
It's all one unit.
It is one unit, and people. We talk. Here's a good example. Shenandoah Farms has a sanitary district, all right, to take care of certain issues that are only in Shenandoah Farms.
Right.
That's really what the town is.
Yeah.
The town
Yeah,
taxes,
right.
it's like a sanitary, it's an overlay district of the county.
Yep.
We're not a city. We don't take care of schools and things like that. That's a county function. But even if we had one government here, we would still have an overlay district to take care of those issues that only affect the town. And I think that's what we got to get people to get our head wrapped around, that you know,
Right.
we're part of the whole. You know?
Yeah, there's each little community has its own needs. I mean,
Sure.
we came in with a sanitary district on Osprey Lane 3 or 4 years ago, and it's made a huge difference.
Yeah.
We're leveraging the county's power to work on the roads. Keep the snow clear.
Sure.
Clear the roads. Before I used to go out with my chainsaw and clear the road,
Yeah.
and now we have the county to handle that
Yeah, you got
responsibility.
some-
So.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. doesn't
Yeah,
it,
and
when
it's
you get-
and it's a big deal when you're out in the country
Sure.
because it's a little bit rough out there. Or it's 1 milestone road, so
I know.
we're kind of we're welcoming the help.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things where government can leverage the power and really be positive.
That's good.
So we need to keep an eye on that and keep make sure that government is within its bounds yet does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So.
Well, I know you've been active. I hate to use the word politics, but in community awareness and things of direction and leadership in the not just the town, the county, the state, and the national effort. You were really heavy in that, so I know you have your heart's in the place of where we want to try to make it better for things to
Yes.
do. So it's a tough road, like you say. Anyone that writes in is an underdog.
Yes.
You're hard to beat, and you're in a partisan race, and that even makes it worse.
Yeah.
A little hard. Let's not use the word worse. It just makes it a little harder.
Makes it more difficult. Although I think really the issues that we're looking at, we can't really have an effect on national things.
Right.
We can't have an effect on things that the state mandates, but we need to maintain or to keep the conversation about local issues.
Exactly.
Because that's where we're at. Walking around, listening to my neighbors and meeting people, it's been a great experience. When I was at the phone company, that was one of the best things because we were going out visiting people, especially in the country, working at their house, and you got to meet a lot of people, and
Right.
you got to hear some really good stories from the old timers
Sure.
and that kind of thing.
I
And that's-
remember when.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this used to be,
Yeah.
So you really get some perspective, and you can hear what people are, really what their concerns are. And what I'm hearing really is that they want us to be good stewards,
Right.
run the county properly, do things that make sense, be conservative financially, I believe, because we are in a bit of a hole now. So
Sure.
we need to watch what we're doing and do things that make sense.
Well, the
with
Fork
money.
District is one of those parts of the county that people don't know much about.
Yeah.
I remember when I ran for some countywide races, and I went down in that area, and I went down, and I kept going and going and going. And I
Yeah,
thought, when's the county going to end?
Yeah, I know.
It's the vast little roadways go up, and I thought, I didn't know this was out here.
Yeah,
You know?
there's all kinds of little hidden places
Yeah.
out in there.
It's hard if you're a candidate and you want to go and walk and knock doors.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult place.
It is. It's very time consuming.
It's very
and-
time
and
consuming,
it's
but there's
easy
a
to-
lot of good people that live out
Oh,
there
yeah.
and been there a
Yep.
long time, and they love it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to have good representation. There's, I can remember in the past when your current supervisor,
Mr.
Archie
Fox,
Fox,
yeah.
I mean, it was hard to pull somebody out to even run. And when Archie ran the first time, and it's hard to get candidates, and then all of a sudden the next election we got 12, and then the next election we don't have any, and then it goes in spurts like that because we don't want a one issue candidate. That's
Right.
the thing that
Sure.
a lot of times people get emotionally involved and say, I'm going to run because of this one thing, but those one things typically solve themselves pretty quick, and then
Yeah.
now you've got 3 years, 10 months left on your
Right.
office, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah,
So we
right.
want to make sure that we have people that get into an office that are more than just a one-issue candidate.
Sure.
And that have a vision. Because, we have this form of government. People say, well, we want to go and tell our representatives things, but that's not how it works. We want to elect people that will that we feel represents us, so that they'll make these decisions. I mean, do you feel that same way?
Yes, I do, and I think it's kind of easy, especially Otterburn. It's a little bit different here in town in Forktown, but Otterburn is so spread out and kind of isolated that I think we've gotten a little bit of neglect going on, but and it's not easy because everybody's disparate and
Sure.
spread out.
Right.
But there's a lot of things we could be looking at. It would be good if we had some meeting places in Otterburn for people to kind of meet up and ride together.
Sure.
Park and ride kind of thing. I know there's one place there locally that we use. A lot of people use. You see them in the parking lot meeting up with people. And sharing rides and that
Right.
kind of thing. So we need to promote something like that to make it easier throughout Otterburn for people to share rides and meet up and that kind of thing.
Well, form the community. That's really what it's really
Yeah.
about. These small little community people get together,
It
and
is.
we have a lot of subdivisions,
Yeah.
so to speak, in our county that form little nucleus of individuals, almost like little tiny towns. We have quite a few in the Linden area, Shandoe Farms, out in your area, south. I mean, if you could just look at the map, all of a sudden, wow, we have a lot of little tiny communities.
Well, I look forward. We've got the new fire station out there, and we're still getting used to that, and
Sure.
most of us haven't seen it, but I have a feeling that we'll use that as a meeting place
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get in the way of the firemen.
Well,
But
they
I
always
think
try to
that'll-
build a little space in there for doing that.
right. There is a community area there,
Yeah,
so
it's great.
hope
Great.
to take advantage of that soon.
Yeah,
so.
that's good. Well, Steve, I want to thank you for coming forward and running, because I always say the more the merrier, because ideas come out of these things, come out of discussions, come out of the campaigning. It gets more people in the community involved in local issues. And even if they start off with one issue, we'll go with that. But
Yep.
we want to involve people into the process. It's really a shame when you look at, 1,000 people are registered to vote and 200 do.
I know.
And then out of the 1,000 that are registered, there's another 5,000 or 6,000 that aren't registered. So
Yeah.
it's really a very small number of people really control our elections and government. It's really a shame.
It is a shame. I mean, when you canvass, you run into people who feel like, well, my vote doesn't count or it won't make any difference, that kind of thing. And we try and get them engaged, and hopefully that mindset's going away a little bit. I mean,
It is.
just looking at all the candidates that we have now, obviously there's a lot of people involved in running for office.
Sure.
And I think it sounds like the registrations are going, voter
Yeah.
registration. So I think people are finally becoming more aware.
Well,
Of that,
people
so-
say, "Oh, my vote." No, I don't ever vote, and it's amazing, as you say. You knock
Yeah.
on doors. How many people
Yeah.
that are in their late age have
Yeah.
never voted?
Yep.
And but your vote does count. I mean, how
Absolutely.
many elections have been won by
Absolutely.
one vote? I
Yep.
mean, a lot.
Yeah.
Even in this place. So
That's true. Yeah,
there's lots.
absolutely
So
true. So hopefully people are getting more involved, and we're seeing more and more people
Well, that's what we
turning out,
want.
and we're trying to reach out to people. So
Well, we're going to put your your Facebook page, and when you see your sign, let me see
Yeah,
your
let
card
me-
here. You see, Steve is a former lineman
Yeah.
and worked for.
United Telephone in Indiana, northern Indiana.
Yeah, and
Up where
and
it's cold.
chose to come to Warren County. But it's great. So when you see that little sign, you'll know what in the world is that guy hanging off the pole? That's
Yep.
that's Steve. So appreciate it again. Thank you so much for coming in. We want to talk about early voting. The early voting has started.
It has started,
It runs.
yes.
There's a couple Saturdays in October you can even vote at
Right
the
before
registrar.
the- right before the
election. It runs to October 30th. So
9 to 5 every day during the week.
yeah,
So
it's great. I mean, one thing about, people are worried about election integrity. If you vote early, that locks anybody else out from stealing your vote.
It
I didn't
does,
realize that, but
absolutely. Yeah, oh,
that does put a
absolutely.
block there. So if
Absolutely.
anybody tries to come in and use your identity or hack
and
your vote,
it's so convenient. I know I was at the polls a lot last year, and people absolutely love the ability to go in and vote on their own schedule,
Exactly.
a time that worked for them. It was just huge.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing.
So, and that cuts down on all the ballots and mail-ins and
Yep.
absentees and stuff, and it makes it a little more secure to go ahead and vote early. I kind of like going on election day myself,
Yeah,
but it's just that
Yeah.
excitement and standing in line, But last year I voted early, and I think it's
Yeah.
a great thing to do. I'm always worried about election integrity because that's the backbone of our country is the election. You know,
Yeah.
we have to know that our elections are secure.
Sure.
And I'm reading, Warren County is just, might be fraud. If anybody knows Carol Tobin and the
Yes.
people that serve on that election
She's
board,
amazing. She really
that
is.
is about it. You can't get anything past Carol.
No, you can't. No, she's right
And
on top
she's
of
right on
everything.
top of it, and her staff is great. So
I understood she finally took a vacation a week or two ago for the first time, and I don't know how long.
yeah, so she's gearing up for
Yep.
for this next 40 days or 45 days that we have left. So
I would say, though, that I think elections, we do banking by mail. We do so many things by mail,
by electronic and
online.
internet, I know it.
So it's. I think it's pretty secure, really.
I think so.
people
Overall,
can feel safe with doing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think it's. I think that's a good thing. I think the whole online. Let me just mention real quick. I think there's a movement to or a project to expand broadband.
Right.
And I think that's going to totally change the way that we do things in the county. We've got DSL that's pretty good, but there's a lot of areas that don't have connectivity.
Right.
And I don't know how people, for instance, if your kid was virtual going to school last year, I don't know how you did it if
Yeah.
you didn't have broadband.
Right.
So I think it's going to be huge. It's going to reduce some of the isolation that people out in the country feel, because they'll be more easily able to do telehealth, meet with their kids online,
Yeah.
and do Zoom
Connect
calls.
to the community.
Yeah, it's really going to make a huge difference. So,
I'll tell you, my youngest daughter and her family, they live in Malaysia now teaching school.
wow.
And, I call them on the Facebook Live, hit the button and
Yeah,
dial it,
right.
and there they are.
It's
It's
amazing.
just like, it's 12-hour time. That's the hard part. But,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost, it used to, the phone business,
Yeah, right.
used to be, they're calling long distance, hurry up, and run the clock so you didn't go past your 3 minutes,
That's something people forgot about these
I know,
days.
and people don't know. They just call anywhere. But you're right. The technology is bringing our world. It's getting smaller and smaller and
Yes.
smaller, and we've kind of lost that barrier of.
Yeah, we have.
It's you want to talk about open borders? It's technology has
Oh, yeah.
made the world open,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's bringing the world smaller. So that's so important in our county, and I know the current board has really pushed this initiative and
Yes.
formed some things, and I just hope the new board keeps going forward.
Yeah, I have a feeling, and again, that's another thing that we need to stay on top of and manage properly,
Exactly.
and make sure that that it does get implemented and gets spread out to a lot of people.
Right.
'Cause,
Yeah.
it's
It's
going
the
to be
way of the
huge.
world. It's not
It
going to
really
go
is.
away. It's not going to go backwards.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't, you got to manage progress. Otherwise, it'll take over
manage
and
you.
be in the driver's seat, and it will manage you. Yes.
Well, Steve, it's enjoyable talking to you. I know your heart's in the right place, and good luck on your campaign.
Well, thanks, Mike.
I think we have quite a few good, sincere candidates running in the 4th
Yeah, we do.
district.
We do.
It's good. It's a good slate, and I think whoever gets elected will represent the 4th district in a positive way.
I'm sure.
And I think that's good too. And I hope the ones that don't win will be still involved and influencing the ones that do.
I'm sure, yeah, that accountability there. And I think the people are becoming more willing to hold representatives accountable now.
And
too.
they're listening more.
And they're
And
listening
I think
more, yes.
that's one thing I'll give credit to the new board. It's given the appearance, at least, that they are sincere and want,
Yeah.
and they've extended the time. And I hear them talking even now. They're talking more about trying, and the school board's the same way. The last meeting was, how can we get the public more involved in the
Yes.
meetings and the process of our school board or how of our county government.
And hopefully, with that, we can get more of an appreciation for what what an education will do for the people here. And maybe we can, if we improve things, maybe our kids will be able to stay here in the county
Exactly.
instead of moving away to get jobs
Exactly,
somewhere else.
exactly.
So that's a huge thing that
Well,
we have to.
Being on these boards and school boards and board of supervisors, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not just something you show up and do a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to Walt Mavey. So he puts in 40 plus hours a week, and it's a lot of work.
Walt's everywhere. He's at all the meetings.
Yeah,
he's
he's very-
always extremely involved with what's going
Yeah.
on.
So I mean, I
That's
think
great.
it's great. It's great. And again, if you want to be on one of these things or thinking about doing it, please check it out because it's something that's very rewarding, and it's kind of like leaving a legacy. for your children
it
and
is.
grandchildren too.
It is.
That you said you made a difference
Mm-hmm.
in our community. So it's great. Again,
And also, I'd like to thank you for the job you all do here. You guys do some great reporting, and I think this is a really important
Well,
outlet for people to be aware of what's going on.
I think today is our 5th year.
Really?
Our last week, it's close, right in the middle of September.
wow.
We are in the middle of September, so we started this 5 years ago,
Wow.
and it was just something we thought we'd do for a temporary thing, to kind of drive some information about the IT Federal and the Jennifer McDonald fiasco, so to speak. And I tell people we wrote over 250 stories on that at all. And when you go to court, the Royal Examiner documents are in there in the court record. So I think we had a little influence.
Yeah, you guys are making a difference. That's
We
great.
appreciate that. Thanks so much. Again, hopefully these Town Talk Meet the Candidates are making a difference. We get a lot of positive
Absolutely,
feedback
yeah.
on it, and
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, I didn't know that." So that's what it's all about.
Very good.
All right, appreciate it again.
Well, thanks again, Mike.
Thanks so much. And remember, early voting goes on till October 30th, so please do that. We still have time to register. If you haven't registered,
Yes.
you can still get registered and
Yes.
vote in this election, because we're electing a governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. We're electing delegates.
Yes.
We're electing a board of supervisors, town council, school board.
Yep.
So it's an important election.
A lot of people up and running.
All right,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thanks again, Steve.
Thank you, Mike.